Hello to my friends on YouTube. Hopefully this will be one of the good lives in the history of doing them. I never know before they happen. And if you're seeing it, that's why. But I want to thank you very much for being here. As you know, it usually takes a couple of seconds for a few people to show up. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Alex. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Hi. Let me move over here. Hello, Lola. Hello, Soman. Hello, Joshua. My name is also Joshua, and I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I have been clean and sober now for 11 years, and I have been working in this area for about 8. By the way, no relapses during those 11 years. I've written 4 books about pornography addiction and betrayal trauma. I have also done a TED Talk, given hundreds of interviews. But I am here tonight because I want to help people. For the last 5 years, I have been a certified pornography addiction coach, a certified betrayal trauma coach, and a therapeutic disclosure specialist. If you have any questions regarding these areas, pornography addiction, addiction in general, if you have questions about betrayal trauma in general, or communication between partners, which is another big area that I deal with as a disclosure specialist, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. So enough of me rambling. Hey, Tyreek, good to see you. If anybody has questions, if anybody has comments, go ahead and shoot them in here, and we can begin this. I may be here as long as 2 hours. I may be here as little as 45 minutes. Depends on the vibe of what's going on in here tonight. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to answer the question that we are going to get most here during this live. I know this because I've been doing lives for a couple years, and this is always the big question. How do I quit? How do I quit? How do I begin to quit? And I think that in order to do that, you need to recognize this is not just a diet you're going on to try to quit looking at porn. This is a full-on lifestyle change you need to make. And the way to do that is not to just understand statistics, not to just understand science, but the way to do this is to figure out what is your motivation. What is your motivation for quitting? We all know why we should quit. We all know why it's a good idea to quit. We all know all the horrible things that porn perpetuates in the world. But why must you quit? Are you afraid of losing a partner? Are you afraid of never getting a partner? Are you afraid of your mental health, your physical health? Are you starting to behave in ways you don't recognize, like looking at porn at work? These are all very, very life-altering things, I guess the word would be. And I think that for the people who I have seen be successful, ultimately they figured out their must. Why must they quit? What will porn take away if they don't? Hi, Tyreek. Had a big urge last night and wrote in my journal and went to bed. That's fantastic. I don't obviously need specifics, but for the people who are here, could you tell us like what you write about? What is it that I know a lot of people would like to journal. A lot of people would like to record their thoughts instead of using, but some of them just stare at the page, pen in hand, and don't know what to write. So can you give us an example of the kind of stuff you wrote about? And maybe that will help some people as well. Thank you, so many of you, for joining. The one time I'm going to ask, or this is the first time I'm going to ask, can you all tap up some likes? Can you all tap up some likes, please? That is what gets this stream into the algorithm onto For You pages. That is what gets this in front of people who might need it the most. You never know if your tap is going to be the one to get it to the other side. to somebody who truly needs to see this. So if you wouldn't mind tapping up the likes, I would be much obliged. Hey, Mickey. Hi, Josh. Would you consider watching a few times a week Addiction? It's probably, if you're saying 3 times a week, I'm guessing it really depends on the time. If you're above average use or below average use when you look at statistics. But more important than statistics is what is the effect it's having on your life, Mickey. That's how we really tell what's going on. And I'm not going to be the one to diagnose you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to diagnose you. But I think you also have a good idea of what's going on. And if you want a better idea, what I'd suggest you do is go to the front page of my profile. Up in the pinned videos, there's one that's called the 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction. And I just run through what they are. You keep track on your hands. Hopefully you won't get to 11. And you can determine for yourself if you're a porn addict. I don't really consider a certain amount of times or how long it is that it takes you to use or you like to use. What I mainly do is look at how it affects your life. Hey, Domit, nice to see you. I was doing so good, and I was corn-free from before Christmas until a week ago. I'm disappointed in myself. Now I'm binging it. Why are you binging it? Tyreek answers that question we had about what do you journal about? And I kind of just wrote about my feelings in the moment, and that's terrific. That's another wonderful way of getting them out. One of the things that I do when I meet with my clients, especially the regulars, is that hey, what's going on this week? How have you been feeling? How are you doing? Because all of your history that we need to sift through, it's still going to be the same history a week from now or 2 weeks from now, whenever we meet next. But if you're having a problem this week, we have to deal with it because we don't want today's stress, we don't want today's incidents to turn into tomorrow's trauma. That's part of the recovery process, is learning to deal with things as they happen. And writing this stuff down, even though you're not talking to an expert like me, or even though you're not sitting in front of, a 12-step group, just sitting there and writing your own damn feelings down will do a lot to help. So good on you, Tyreek. Good on you. Any tips for what, Jacob, specifically? This is terrible corn, bro. What the heck? I would suggest that you figure out your urges, figure out your triggers. That's one of the first places to start. I enjoy with my wife. Is that wrong? 867-5309. Is your wife named Jenny? And you know what the thing is? The older you and I get, the less people are going to understand that reference. If you and she can enjoy it together and it doesn't affect your life and everything is honest, and if she says don't watch when I'm not around and you don't, and you say don't watch when I'm not around and she doesn't, or you don't care if each other watches when you're not around, as long as you're on the same page. Now, that said, make sure that it doesn't develop into some kind of addiction. And more importantly, when you consider your couple, make sure that you stay on the same page. If one of you wants to stop, you have to say it. If one of you wants to watch some other kind, you have to say it. Unfortunately, couples who watch porn together have divorce rates that are roughly double of that of couples that don't watch porn. Obviously, that's not why they divorce, but it's an impossible stat to ignore. On top of that, more than 50% of divorce cases now have some reference to pornography or pornography addiction, according to an article that I read talking to divorce lawyers. So, if you enjoy it with your wife, that's great. And I would also be careful of making it. with each other, like making pornography. Jacob asks, where's the lady? Which lady? You're talking about Oth? She is probably putting her kids to bed right now, I would guess. I told her we were here, and she's got free will. She can come and go as she wants. Brendan, is every day bad? Well, I don't know, Brendan. Can you try going the next 7 days without it? Try going the next 7 days without it. And if you can't, then you know you have some kind of compulsion. Maybe it's an addiction. And at that point, well, yeah, it is bad. Most people who have to use every day, it's not they really choose anymore. It's that, or they do choose, but they feel like they have no choice. So I would suggest that you try to not use for a week and see what kind of urges you get. See what kind of triggers you get. See if you can go a week. Is every day bad? You know, bad is a judgment call. Is every day more than average? Yes. Have I ever met anybody who is not an addict that uses daily? I don't think so. But again, you are an individual, Brendan, and you have to decide what's going on. Domit. Well, the first time I did it after not doing it for a few months felt so good, so I'm trying to chase. Yeah, you're trying to chase that old dopamine. But it sounds like you're not feeling too good right now. Did you go and do the relapse autopsy or the prelapse autopsy and figure out how did you get to this place? And you say you're binging. Why are you still there? What is this achieving in the long run? Please keep tapping up those likes. Please keep tapping up those likes. If I say something brilliant, please share it. If you're not following me, please do. And if you are interested in one-on-one time with me, go to the front page of my profile. You will see a link tree. Click on that. It's the first option. Unk. That's got to be an African thing, isn't it? It seems like the last 6 months, a lot of people are calling me Unk. And I know that my African viewership, especially in Nigeria and South Africa, has exploded the last few months. Unk, I've been asking if masked without porn is okay. No, it is not. It is not, and I'm going to give you an example why. I know a lot of you have heard this before, but it always drives the point home to the new folks. Okay, you cannot masturbate without porn because your eyes see porn, but your brain processes the imagery. It's a lot like when you smell something. Your nose takes in the odor, your brain processes it. Your tongue for taste, same thing. Your senses, they're all processed in the brain. Now, the brain can process imagery without seeing it, just like you can remember the taste of a certain food without having it in your mouth. I haven't had a drink in nearly 11 years. I still know specifically what Corona with lime tastes like. Now, close your eyes. Close your eyes, close your eyes. Everybody here, all 27 of you, close your eyes. Humor me with this. Just go ahead and humor me with this. Okay. Your eyes are closed. I don't want you to picture a giraffe. I do not want you to picture a giraffe. Whatever you're picturing, make sure it's not a giraffe. Do not picture a giraffe. And now I want you to not picture a giraffe wearing a blue hat. Do not picture a giraffe wearing a blue hat. Maybe it's a baseball hat. Maybe it's a cowboy hat. Whatever kind of hat, it's not blue. And you're not picturing a giraffe wearing a blue hat. Okay, open your eyes. Statistically, 90% of you saw a giraffe wearing a blue hat. What's the big deal about this? It's an example of how your brain can process imagery without you seeing it. I'm guessing none of you have a giraffe with a blue hat next to you. So if you are masturbating without pornography, odds are you are thinking about sexual situations in your head. You're thinking about naked ladies. You're thinking about naked men. You're thinking about having sex. You're thinking about whatever it is. Your brain is processing those images. And to say, okay, I just won't think about that stuff, well, that's why I do the giraffe with the hat example. when you masturbate to those images in your head, the chemicals that are delivered during pornography addiction are also delivered. So no, you have to quit both watching and satisfying yourself if you're truly going to get through this. That's why I think I'm binging, but I am, for the first time I did it after not doing it for months, felt so good, I'm trying to chase. That's why I think I'm binging. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted that train of thought. 8675309, who was the person who asked about, I'm going way too far back to figure that out. Okay, well, he's appreciative I answered his question. Isn't that nice? Okay. Glad you're all here. Quick introduction for those of you who have not heard me before. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict 24 years. I was an alcoholic 22 years. I have been clean and sober now for 11 years. No relapses. I got into this business about 8 years ago, first as an author. I wrote 4 books about porn addiction and betrayal trauma. I also was given hundreds of interviews. I did lots of public appearances. Then the pandemic hit and I transitioned into being a full-time coach. I am certified as a pornography addiction coach, a betrayal trauma coach, and a therapeutic disclosure specialist. That means I can help an addict, I can help their betrayed partner, or I can work with the couple to build communication and trust. Yeah. Okay. That's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in here. I will get to all of them. I'm just here to stay clean. Hey, that's cool. Hang out. It's kind of funny. When I finish these lives, I always go look at the statistics to see if I can learn anything. And I have always been surprised how many people just lurk in here and never say anything. So, hey, however it works for you. For those of you who are here often and never say a word, just know I know you're here. I know you're here regularly. And just also know that many of the lurkers become some of my longest term clients. So anyway, I was stoked when you said people hurting themselves. Why? Wow. I don't know why you are, stoked about it, but whatever. Modern day Puritanism intended to make men feel bad about themselves. Well, I will tell you, cringineer, if you don't believe in pornography addiction, that is fine with me. I'm still going to sleep tonight, and I hope that you never learn the truth. I hope you're able to remain ignorant to the truth about pornography addiction. Unk is a term for an older guy. Oh, that really makes me feel wonderful. I'm white as hell. I'm sorry, Arson. I'm sorry. Honestly, your picture, you can't really tell. You could have been Latino. You could have been anything, really. I'm sorry I said that. Bro, you still watching? Nope. I haven't watched in almost 11 years. And men is visual. So are ladies. We have way too many stereotypes about this disease being a men's disease. It's not. I've been coaching now for 5 years. The amount of women I coach doubles year to year. And it's becoming, more of a common thing, as there are no women younger than, 25 who remember a world before high-speed internet. That's when everything changed. And, it's now becoming the second generation. It's soon going to be the third generation. Pornography was geared toward the straight white male when it was on videotape, when it was in magazines, when it was shown in dirty theaters. That's because they could count on straight white men to be, customers. Everybody else, you could make a niche product, but you wouldn't make as much money if you didn't cater to the straight white male. Nowadays, because of high-speed internet, not only can you cater to any demographic you want, because it's not that expensive to make porn, it's not that expensive to distribute porn, but the bigger part of this is that access is so much easier. When I was 12, 13 years old, the biggest issue with pornography I had was access. How do I get my hands on a Playboy? How do I get my hands on a videotape? Nowadays, that everybody can get it on their phone, we've got the greatest porn computer in the history of the world on our phone. There are literally millions of hours of porn on the internet. There is enough porn on just that big hub one that you could watch for over 200 years. 24 hours a day. One site. That's how much it's out there. So, yeah, men are visual, but women are catching up. And people who are not white are catching up. And people who are not straight are catching up. And the religious are catching up. Anybody can be a porn addict. Anybody can be a porn addict. This is not even life. Yes, this is life. Everything around you. Sir, I am eating a lot of burgers. I wait until I'm too hungry to cook and end up buying burgers. Well, this is what happens again and again and again. Why don't you cook burgers at the beginning of the day, or cook, 20 burgers over the weekend, put them in the refrigerator, and then when you are hungry during the week, you can just put it in the microwave or put it on a skillet for a couple minutes, so you still get a good meal even if you're being lazy. So just make sure you put the burgers in the fridge. You leave the bread out. Tyler, thank you for following with me. Is masturbation without corn helpful to wean off? No, because you won't wean off. Or if you're talking about like a 3-4 week wean, if that's going to help you, sure. I guess it depends what wean means to you. Does that mean 3, 4, 5 weeks, or does that mean 3, 4, 5 months? That's what. Hey, can you tap up some likes? We only have 549. The daytime people are kicking your asses. And the thing is, the likes, the sharing, the follows, that lets the algorithm know this is worth being in. This is worth looking at. Obviously, you're going to enter a room that has 3,000 likes versus a room that has 35 likes. So if you can help me out there, I'd appreciate it. I don't get a dime from that. The only thing I make any money on is if you give me a gift, which I never say no to. Split the Difference Pod. Hey, it sounds like you've got a podcast. Thank you for following me. How do I beat the urges? Do you understand your urges? That's the first thing I'd say. Do you understand your urges? When do you use? Where do you use? Why do you use? You probably understand some pieces of this, but I bet you don't understand it all. For the next week split, what I suggest you do, and this is something I suggest to many of my first-time clients, is that some detective work has to be done. Before you take on the problem, you have to understand the problem. So for the next week, have one of those little flip notepads. This is what I call the urge journal. I want you to write down the time. I want you to write down the place and where you got your urge or your trigger. And then I want you to also write down what was happening in the last 10, 15 minutes. How were you feeling? What was your internal dialogue? Anything that should be noted. You do this for now let's say you get somewhere between 5 and 10 urges a day. Which is low for a lot of guys. Let's say you get 10 urges a day. At the end of the week, you've got 70 pieces of data to analyze, to figure out what are your patterns. And then once you have those patterns, you can anticipate them and you can be ready with other things to do. Right now, what I'd urge you to do is get a piece of paper, write down 7 things that you can do instead of using next time. Read a book, take a walk, call my friend, play video games. Whatever it is you want to do, that's cool, but be prepared because this is going to happen again. Hey, Josh, good name. Thoughts on Bonnie Blue? I think that she's probably a very ill person, deep, deep down. When you are one of one, there's usually something going on there. Sorry, but I need my everyday dose of Lisa Ann Dixon. This is your one warning. We do not talk about porn stars here. I let the Bonnie Blue thing go because that's in the news right now, but we are not here to highlight porn stars. Dre says he hasn't watched in 11 years. You know what's weird though, Dre? I know more about porn now than I did back then. I never actually watched studio porn. I've never liked it. But I've got something like 115,000 followers. Many of them are porn stars who I've had long conversations with. And people drop names all the time at me. So I probably can name more porn stars now than I could when I was an actual addict, amusingly enough. And the same thing, I never saw the drug that starts with the letter H in my life until I went to rehab. Isn't that ironic? The access is way easier. Yeah, the access is way easier. Even the paid sites you can get for free. Yeah, I mean, if you have half a brain, you can see everything that's paid on the internet. And even if you can't get access to it, there is more than 100 lifetimes of free porn on the internet. You should not be paying money for pornography. It's like, it's like paying money for air to breathe. It's everywhere. It's free. What does it matter? I'm confused. Well, I mean, pornography addiction, very quick, U29, can lead to, number one, addiction. That happens in roughly 10% of women. That happens in roughly about 16, 17% of men who use. And on top of that, among our youngest population, it creates very twisted views of sexuality. This is the sex ed that they're growing up with, and thinking that this is normal sex. Those of us who are a little older, who have had healthy relationships, healthy sexual relationships, know that porn is fiction. Porn is very, very much fiction. It's not a documentary. It's not a reality show. It is fiction, and because people don't do it that way. And I just mentioned that I've actually had conversations with a lot of porn stars. They don't do it that way in real life either, because it's all fake. It's on set. They film a minute. They stop. They reset the lights. Then they film another 2 minutes. They stop. They reset the lights and cameras. It's all fake. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. It also causes sexual issues. It causes a lot of anxiety issues. It causes a lot of confidence issues. The world has changed since high-speed internet has delivered porn to every one of us 24/7. And not the kind of porn I grew up on. Not the Playboy lady posing on the beach, airbrushed porn. We're talking about hardcore stuff that I could have never seen. And now everybody's growing up with that. I like how you move your fingers. Oh, thank you. I know I rock back and forth a lot. I got to talk to a doctor or something about that at some point. Late at night is the worst. Okay, well then don't be up late at night. Or have a plan. Or now I'm conscious of my fingers. I would say, if that's worse, figure something out. If you're awake, don't go to bed. If you're awake, read. If you're awake, do something that's going to occupy your mind. Turn off the light, lay there, and think about your day tomorrow. Regina Heels, thank you for following me. LeBron or MJ? I grew up during the MJ period. Do they know it's damaging people? A lot of people don't. That's one of the big reasons I'm here, is because a lot of people don't know that it's damaging. I didn't know it was damaging. I knew my alcoholism was damaging, but I didn't know my porn addiction was even an addiction most of the time. I thought it was just me making bad decisions when I was drunk. So a big reason I'm here, a big reason I am a coach now, is because I don't want to see people who are 18, 25, 30, 35 take as long as I took to get healthy. I just posted a video about that. I think it was my second to last video about how I didn't get clean till I was 37 or 38. Don't wait that long. Don't wait that long. I can help you if you need it. Visit my front page, visit the links, visit the link tree. It's the top link if you want to learn more about booking with me. I was about to fail. So how did you not fail, Mir? How did you stop? Hello, Mr. Canada. When did you quit watching Korn? My last official day must have been March 18th or 19th, 2014. Yeah, 18th or 19th. I know my last drink was March 20th because here's another weird rehab thing. In order to get into detox and have my insurance company pay for it, I had to blow drunk on the breathalyzer, which makes no sense to me. So literally, I went to detox in Laguna Beach, California, and then I did my full rehab in Palm Springs. But at Laguna Beach, my brother, who was living in LA at the time, he picked me up at the airport. Before he dropped me off at the facility in Laguna Beach, we stopped off at the Laguna Beach liquor store, and I pounded a bunch of Red Bull and tequila so I could blow drunk, because flying across the country all day, I could have kept drinking all day, but you get dehydrated flying. And I don't like having headaches all day. So I had to, literally before I checked into rehab, I had to... I was about to fail. I saw you're live. Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I am glad that we were here for you, and I want you to right now come up with a plan for what happens if I'm not here. You could go onto YouTube. You could go to my YouTube channel and watch some of the old lives that I have there. I think I've posted 17 or 18 now. I'm a couple weeks behind, but I'll catch up. Probably 20 plus hours of these lives. You could go watch those. But right now, you cannot count on me always being there. So right now, figure out what to do if I'm not there. I was told by a counselor it's better to game for hours than fall into harmful habits. Are you talking about video gaming, or are you talking about like sitting around with 8 people and playing a LARP game? I would think that the LARPing actually could be very healthy. I think the LARPing could be very healthy. And I think that sitting there and playing video games for 4 or 5 hours, that's been proven to be bad. Video game or video game addiction is a real thing. Video game addiction is in the family of the same family of addiction as porn, as sex, as gambling, as food. So if your counselor said that it's better to game for hours and they meant video games and you meant video games instead of falling into harmful habits, I would actually say that is a harmful habit. Aaron says Gooner's Anonymous. I don't know if that's a joke or what you're trying to say. Moses Donda. How did you quit, bro? I quit because I figured out my must. I was never going to quit for me. It wasn't about my mental health, even though that was crap at the time. It wasn't about my physical health, even though I was probably close to death's door. I didn't care about myself at the time. I was, pretty much I was 1/3 owner of the company that I ran day to day. So, I could do what I wanted at work. Ultimately, what I recognized was that my wife was going to leave if I continued to be an addict, both alcohol and porn. And if I lost my wife, I would have lost my kids. And my kids and my wife are the three people I care more about more than anybody else in this world. They are my best friends. They are my soul. I love them to death. And there is no piece of pornography on this earth. There is no 100 pieces of pornography on this earth that is worth losing them. And I recognized, because I was having an intervention at the time, that after I lost my job, that I couldn't keep manipulating everybody that was in the room at the time like I did. I couldn't keep going on like I did. So I could either save the relationships and quit my addictions, or I could go somewhere else, be ostracized by friends and family, and stay with my addictions. And if I had done that, I know I'd be dead now. HVM, thank you for following me. Hello, Tony Banks. Glad you're here. Travis Keys, 27. Thank you for following me. You're a gerbil again. It's, you know what? You're a shapeshifter, as that side of TikTok would say. Chat Life Baby asks, how did I lose the job? Great question. It was over time. It was that, and this was, part of my downfall was in early 2013, about a year before I ended up getting fired and going into recovery. The magazine company that I ran, we kind of plateaued as far as revenue went, but our expenses continued to go up. And I made the decision to pull myself off my bipolar meds because I thought I could tap into my manic side. That was effing stupid, because all it did was within 3 or 4 weeks, it made my alcoholism triple, and it probably made my porn use triple. So you can look through that year at a couple of the magazines and you can see revenues drop issue to issue. But I couldn't do anything about expenses. Rent is fixed. How much it costs to print a magazine is fixed. So when we had less revenue, it was scary. And I didn't know what to do, and I was so freaked out, I kept descending into alcohol and porn. And finally, they came along, and my co-owners had heard enough from the employees. My co-owners had seen enough of the company tanking, and they fired me. So there's your story. Obviously there's a lot of nuance to it, but that's the thing. Did they see you using corn in the office? No, the truth is I rarely used corn in the office. The only time I would was if nobody was there, and I would never actually self-satisfy when I was there. I just could not risk getting caught as the freaking owner of the company and the lead boss. Once in a while, I would quickly look for a minute or two, but I did not. Angel, thank you for joining the team. And I think that I told myself that the drinking thing was cool at my office. I had a fridge stocked full of beer. 4 o'clock, we would all stop at the end of the day and start our happy hour, because I was the cool boss. But I was just the boss who was training my entire staff to enable me. When I look back and really think about it, I was training my entire staff to enable me, which isn't healthy. Gooning is life, Unc. Well, I'm glad that you have a hobby. Thank you so much for the level up sparks, Angel. Glad to see that. Okay. Well, Jay, I am not feeling like listening to you, so you're gonna go bye-bye. You're lucky Yoth wasn't here, because about 5 or 6 people would have already been kicked out of here, and I'm much kinder than she is. Just kidding, Yoth, in case you're here. So, for those of you who are new here, just let me briefly introduce myself. The rest of you, if you've heard this 100 times, hit up the likes while I'm saying it. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on our green and blue blob called Earth. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was an alcoholic for 22 years. I got sober almost 11 years ago. On March 20th, it'll be 11 years. So I've been clean and sober just about 11 years. I am relapse-free the entire time. And I, about 8 years ago, started in this area, and I wrote 4 books, gave lots of speeches, did a TED Talk, all that crap. During the pandemic, I became a coach. I am now working, I have been for 5 years as a full-time pornography addiction, betrayal trauma, and therapeutic disclosure specialist. If I can answer any questions for you here, I would be more than happy to. If you want to share your triumphs, if you want to share your pain, this is a safe place to do this. I get rid of people who act like assholes. This is not a place for us to glorify what we're trying to work through. So please continue there. And if you need any one-on-one help, if you want to follow my socials, go to the front page of the profile, click on the link tree, and you can learn how to book there and get on my socials. Osama asks, why is alcohol not legal in any country? Alcohol, they tried to make it illegal in the U.S. about 100 years ago. It was a dismal failure. It was a dismal, dismal failure. And when you think of that, one country 100 years ago, so technology was crap, transportation was crap, technology was crap, and we couldn't stop alcohol. It actually led to a ton of crime. The mafia, especially in the Chicago area, and especially in New York, being known as rum runners, they got their hooks into America through Prohibition. So if you tried to make alcohol illegal these days, I don't know how you would. It's the same thing with pornography. We now live in a global community. And what we need to do is educate about these things. Instead of trying to ban them, because that's wasted energy, wasted money, let's put that money into education and create less addicts in the first place. Hello, Highest Hawk. How do you help the betrayal healing process from the addict side? You are there to learn what they need. If that's a lot of attention, you give attention. If that's space, you give space. If you say you're going to be somewhere, you better damn well be there. If you say you're going to do something, you better damn well do it. You broke the trust of the most important person in the world. It's going to take you a while to get it back. You need to be honest, brutally honest. You also probably need to show them that you're trying to get, help. Are you seeing a therapist? Are you seeing a coach? Are you going to 12-step groups? Are you reading books, listening to podcasts? What are you doing to heal from using porn to the point that you felt like you needed to lie about it? You need to show her you're trying to improve as a man. And you better be 100% trustworthy, my friend. Exhibition is a real thing that I think some people struggle with. Absolutely. Exhibitionism is, technical term, but I know what you're saying, Mike. Yeah, actually, if you look at the list of sexual disorders, the ones we all talk about are intercourse addiction and porn addiction. But there are things like voyeurism, like exhibitionism, like a certain level of BDSM that are all considered sexual disorders. So absolutely, if you feel absolutely compelled that you have to expose yourself to people, obviously it's a different issue than porn addiction, but it is still a sexual disorder that, some people do struggle with. Mr. Canada, how can I stop watching porn? I do every day. I just can't stop. Well, what is it you're trying to run from? How long have you been watching? What have you tried to do to stop other than say, I don't want to watch? How about this? When you get an urge, When you think you're going to use, go be around other people. Do you live with anyone? Spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, parents, roommates? Go be around people. If you're around people, you're not going to be able to look. You're not going to be able to touch. So go be around people. And if you've got nobody at home, go find people. Go to the mall, go to the movies, go to a park, go to a diner. Call a friend. Be around people. And that's just going to be a huge way that you can start to work at this. But there are probably 10, 12 different ways you can stop watching. I just don't know your life. You know, if you want to sit down with me in a session and we can go through what's going on in your life so we can figure out a strategy to stop, that's cool. But you also need to start to tell yourself the story that you can stop. Anybody can stop. For those of us who are addicts, very difficult compared to those who are not. I'll give you that. But again, you are not that special unicorn who can never quit. If I quit porn and alcohol on the same day and never relapsed, anybody can quit one of them. You just have to want to. You have to figure out your motivation. I'm pretty sure alcohol is illegal in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I do think there are a few countries that are Muslim operated that tend to run the government and have outlawed alcohol. What should be your mindset be like to avoid it? Well, think about how you feel afterwards, Nick. How do you feel afterwards? And again, this is a loaded question. Your mindset does need to change. But quitting the behavior is only part of it. Quitting the behavior is only a little part of it. You have to figure out the big question is, why did you become an addict in the first place? Why did you become an addict in the first place? That's the most important thing, because until that, and that's trauma, which is just a fancy way to say pain that's hanging on, that's what you have to go address ultimately, Nick, is you have to address those deep wounds. You have to get to the root of the problem. You're going to see sexual imagery everywhere. It's been around for 25,000 plus years that we can trace back. Even longer than that, I know. Bro, nobody said that. I don't remember what I said they said. Did you ever get flashbacks to scenes you have seen when you were starting to recover, and how did you deal with them? Of course I did. That's your brain trying to remember the porn. That's your brain trying to process the porn. That's your brain saying, oh, this little shit isn't going to look at this stuff, so we better try to recall it. What you need to do is you need to get your mind on something else. Here is a quick little in-the-moment thing you can do. This is not healing you. This is not recovery. This is like putting a cork in a problem in the moment. Download a couple of games to your phone that are not necessarily fun, mostly, educational, but games that are like math games. Games that are word games. Games that will cause you to have to use your brain. Now, odds are you know your times tables, but do you know how many of them you can answer in 2 minutes? There's an app out there where you can play that game. There's a million apps where it's like, here's 12 letters. Make as many words as you can in 1 minute. Now, or word searches or Sudokus. Now, I don't find these necessarily to be fun things, but you know what they do? They distract you. Your addiction lives back here. Your urges live right here. So what you need to do if you want to get that imagery out of your head, you want to get that urge out of the way. A lot of people are successful by engaging the brain in something else, because your urge is right here. This temporary memory right here, there's only so much space for so much. Yeah, so much space for so much. Good English, Josh. What you need to be able to do is to get that energy into another area. Doing math, doing word problems, you're going to be thinking. You're going to be distracting yourself. So that's a real good tip for you. Okay, Captain Snore Beefs, I hope that you enjoyed your time in our world, but you will never be welcomed back. Yeah. Please keep tapping up those likes, 4.8 thousand. That's awesome. I appreciate that. I'm going to get to everybody's questions and comments. If you have anything, please just let me know. TBH, you look like you watch it every day. I gotta tell you, as a porn coach, I coach men and women. I coach the young and the old. I coach the fat, the thin, the rich, the poor, every color, every religion, every political persuasion. So if you're saying I look like a porn user, I look like a porn addict, you are right, I do. Because a porn user and a porn addict can be anybody. And if you somehow try to tell yourself that you are immune, oh, I just look, but I can't be an addict, I'm a woman. I can't be an addict, I'm a Christian. I can't be an addict, I'm a, rich guy. Anybody can be an addict. So you telling me I look like I watch it every day? Big friggin' deal. I need a plan for at night when I think about watching. Okay, get out of bed. Get out of bed. Turn on TV. Have a book ready. Go get some water. Go sit out on the front steps, get some fresh air. Be ready to have multiple things to do that aren't porn. How can I find you on TED? You cannot, because they removed it at my request, because it was probably the worst speech I ever gave in my life. And it did me no favors being out there. I get more mileage out of the picture of me in front of the TED sign than I do out of that really bad speech I gave. I heard your podcast on Warrior Unmasked. Super good. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I have only heard a few minutes of that one right now. I got to go back and listen. For some reason, the podcasting has been picking up a lot. I've probably been a guest on like 10 podcasts in the last month, which is a lot more than usual. I'm falling behind on hearing them. Because I've heard myself a million times, and I'm sure if you listen to a podcast, it's just a version of this. Hey Preston, I'm glad you're here. Welcome back. If you need anything, we're here for you. I am glad you're here. Jason is having brain cramps. Well, right now would not be the time to eat ice cream too fast. Not sure what you mean by brain cramps, Jason. I don't want to make light of what you're saying, but I truly don't understand. Picked up Wordle a couple weeks ago from a coworker. Might try that more. I friggin' love Wordle. Of course, I play it on the New York Times site with a 90% success ratio, I may add. But I actually just found a version of it on Roku. So I put it on my TV and I can play 3 or 4 a day, which is fantastic. And yeah, that again, there is a deal where you have to think. And that is words and math together. So it's even better. You spend 10 minutes playing Wordle, you're probably not going to go straight back to the porn. So I like that, Joe. I like that a lot. If you're not on the New York Times games page, definitely go check that out. I use it to cope with anxiety and panic. It's a bad cycle and feel trapped. Absolutely, No Name. Absolutely. You discovered porn at some point when you were young, and you didn't have or were not taught the anxiety skills, the skills to deal with panic, with whatever was going on. But you found porn, and porn felt great. We think it's the naked people. We think it's, the masturbation. But what's happening is you are getting that chemical rush in your head. And once you get that chemical rush enough times, your brain circuitry starts to change to crave it. And since you now have a way to deal with your problems, why would you develop the skills you were missing in the first place? You have a coping method. But over time, you see just how unhealthy the coping method is. And you're going to have to develop some anxiety management skills. You're going to have to develop some techniques when you feel panicked, if you're going to drop the porn, because that's what's lacking. You don't want that to be your answer for anxiety and panic. Angel asks, how did you feel right after you gave that speech? Oh, I knew I bombed. And you know what's even worse? I bombed in my rehearsal, and I bombed during the real thing. And I think what ultimately threw me off, there were two things that threw me off. One was that they insisted I have notes. I don't give speeches with notes. Now, you guys hear me every day on here, and many of you who are have been here before have heard me say some of these sort of canned answers before. So I have them. I know what I need to say in my head. I can talk extemporaneously for 2 hours. You've seen me do it before on one topic, basically. And they were like, no, we don't want you to lose your place. We don't want you to lose your place. And it's like, I have given commencement speeches for graduating classes with an audience of 3,000. Back when I worked in pro wrestling, I would give bad guy speeches to audiences of 2,000, all heckling me. I can give a speech, and they're, no, you have to use note cards. You have to use this monitor. And that totally threw me off. Totally threw me off. The other thing that threw me off is I am great giving a speech in front of a huge crowd. I'm great giving a speech in front of a screen. What I'm not great giving a speech in front of is about 8 to 12 people who are wholly disinterested in what I'm talking about, and several cameras, because that's what it was. It was during the pandemic. I had to go to a TV studio and it was streamed live and all that happy stuff. But the other people there were a few techs and a few other speakers who were worried about their own speech. So basically, I'm on a stage giving a speech, but nobody's there to hear it. Nobody's there to get energy off of, to feed off of. I can talk in front of 3,000 people because it's very, very easy. I have a trick. I find someone on the left side who appears to be caring about what I'm saying. I find somebody in the middle who appears to be caring about what I'm saying. And I find somebody on the right who appears to be caring what I'm saying. And I just give the speech to those three people who seem interested, who seem like they like me, and I'm good. When I gave that TED speech in that empty room, there was nobody watching me at the time. They were all doing other things. It was weird. So the fact they made me use a monitor to hit all my bullet points, and the fact there was nobody really there when I was delivering this, it just made for a very bad performance. So there's your answer, Angel. You're so right, says No Name. At this point, it feels like a hobby, of which I don't have many. Thank you. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you don't want to call yourself an addict, call yourself a hobbyist. It's just not a hobby you want. That's one of the things that people have an issue when it comes to getting help, because they're afraid they're going to learn they're an addict. And an addict is just a word. It's just a label. Call yourself a hobbyist. Call yourself an aficionado. Call yourself a pretty princess, whether you're a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter what words you use. I mean, I don't know what the Swahili word for addict is. I don't know what the Portuguese word for addict is. So if you called me that, I'd have no idea what you were saying. It's just a word. It's just a term. You can call it anything you want. The problem is the problem is the problem. I'm glad you felt heard. And if you'd like to do a one-on-one session with me, if you want to learn how to do that, you will be heard for an hour. It is very transformative for a lot of people. Many people come one time, two times. That's all they feel like they need. Or they come once a month. That's cool. Whatever you need. And if you need somebody to talk to in your life, I can do that for you. So check out the front page of my profile. Click on the link that says Linktree, and the first option is there. No Zoom grid. What does that mean, Joe Blow? I don't know what that means. Seth, thank you for following me. I appreciate that very much. Hey, 6.6 thousand likes. That's cool. You guys really deliver when I ask. I appreciate that. Can somebody tell me what time it is on the East Coast of the U.S. right now? I have my TV just on a screensaver, so I have some light here because I'm actually doing this in a different room than usual and don't have my light set up. 9:25. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Didn't realize I've been going this long. I'm going to get that "you've been going an hour and a half" message here real soon. Let me go back to the next question. So yes, thank you for following me, Seth. Thank you for following me, No Name. Mir says, should I use an app blocker at night to not go on social media and Play Store? Well, that's not going to heal anything, but if that's going to stop you from using, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Put those blockers in place, because if they work, fantastic. If they don't work, you try something else. But you might as well try them, right? Like a bunch of people watching you on Zoom. Joe, I tried to actually get that going a few years ago, and it just didn't click for some reason. I still think there's a place for, and there's only 17 of you here, so let me actually give you a little poll. I tried the group thing a few years ago. I don't know why it didn't work. I only, charged like $20 for the hour. Could never get more than 3-4 people at a time, and then it just kind of devolves. People want 7-8 people to show up. But anyway, I've been thinking about trying or piloting a new idea, which is doing 15-minute and 30-minute, and I don't even want to call them sessions. 15 and 30-minute check-ins, 15 and 30-minute Q&As with people. Do you think that's a good idea? If you just want to talk to me and have me answer one question, if you are not interested in truly quitting porn at this point or doing the full recovery that I do with people, or, you just have a question about the betrayal trauma happening in your life, if I offered a 15-minute session for like $20 and a 30-minute session for like $30, is that a more attractive option than an hour for $45? Just curious what y'all think. Thank you for letting me know the time. You guys are awesome. I speak Swahili. How do you know of this language? I'm not an idiot, Osama. I know plenty of this world. I don't speak Swahili, but there are a lot of African immigrants who live in the cities around me who moved in and about 20 years ago. And while most of them and their kids now speak English full time, when they got here, it was Swahili. So that's my experience with Swahili. 226 in the UK. Yeah, that's why I actually sometimes do morning here. Like I will do lives at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, your time. I think that's probably where you've seen me also, because I recognize your name. Don't know why. I think that, you're following me. So check in, see if I'm doing them in the morning. I probably need to do a few. It's been a few days. Angel says, I love that idea. Oh, I'm good. Thank you for that feedback, Angel. I appreciate that. I think it's something where I'm probably going to try to take 1 or 2 hours a day starting very soon and allow them only to be 15-minute and 30-minute. Like I said, I don't want to call it a session because that's selling it too much. I also think it might be a way that somebody tries talking to me for 15 minutes, tries talking to me for 30 minutes, and then recognizes, hey, I actually do need to go this route. I actually do need more of this. So I think it might even be a way for more people to get help, for more people to enter this. I was telling a very cool client today, that this is really a big sales funnel, in some ways, for those of you who know that. There are 115,000 people following me on TikTok and plenty more who've seen my videos. I think my videos are something around 40 million views total. I'm not sure at this point. And of those 115,000, probably 3,000 have been in my lives over the last few months. A lot of people who aren't following me, but I get a small percentage of the followers to get in the lives. And then I get a small percentage of the people in the lives to actually try the coaching. And maybe a 15-minute or a 30-minute session will cause people to get there. Breezy Blix Kai intern. Blix Kai intern? Are you from Kentucky? Breezy Blix? Kentucky intern. Is that what it is? I love you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know you, so I don't love you, but I'm sure if I had the time to get to know you, I would love you. Joe Blow, I missed your first thing. Like a bunch of people watching you on Zoom. Oh, okay, so what you said. You need to take initiative and want to quit, which is what you need to leave it behind. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, we're approaching 9:45. I'm approaching an hour and a half to 2 hours doing this. As you can probably tell, I'm fading. It's time for me to call it an evening. And remember, if you7 says you changed my life, oh, well, that's really sweet. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to screen capture that just because I'm trying to get a few testimonials from the online world, even people who aren't my clients. So nobody will ever know who you are. Jay, I did not ignore your question. What probably happened was that you put a word in it that TikTok bans. That's what happens most of the time when people are their comment doesn't come up. It lets you submit the comment, but it doesn't tell you that it didn't appear. So if you will, Jay, if you look at what you asked and you look if there's a word in there, libido, nope, that came up. I don't, maybe it's the way you asked it. I don't know, Jay, but it never came through. And I'd be happy to answer it. But it wasn't libido because I saw that. If you just tried 3 other words, well, none of them came through. My desire for a girlfriend drives my addiction. Well, Nick, what you need to do is flip the script. Your desire for a girlfriend should drive your recovery. Because number one, most girls don't want to be with a guy who they know is a porn addict right away. So if you don't tell her right away, you're a liar. Next, do you think that you are never going to have any sexual side effects from the pornography? So let's say you get a girlfriend. Let's say you are lying about the pornography. Or hell, maybe you're telling the truth. You're probably going to have trouble in the bedroom at some point. And as you continue to use, your addictions get worse and worse. Addictions don't stay level. Addictions don't get better. You have to go deeper. So I would urge you, Nick, flip the script. Use your desire for a girlfriend as incentive to quit. Because continuing to use porn, that's not going to actually help your cause. And here's the thing. Do you just want a girlfriend to have sex with? Is that all? If all you want is sex, and you're over, 21, go out to a bar. You'll eventually get lucky. If that's all you want is sex, sexual intimacy is simple. Sexual intimacy is easy to get. You can't pick up emotional intimacy in a bar. You can't pick up intellectual intimacy in a bar. That has to build over time. Do you want to have a girlfriend to cuddle with and to talk to and to share your secrets with and to hear her secrets and her dreams and her desires? Or do you just want an FWB? Because that's not a girlfriend. Libido, we've spoken about it and nothing works. Then you need to keep trying. You need to keep trying until something works. I'm sorry the stuff didn't work so far. But what else can we do here? What else can we do here? Have you talked to your doctor? Did you talk to your doctor? Is it your libido or is it your ability to get an erection or both? You know, this might not be directly connected to porn. That's why I tell when guys are like, you know, how long will my PIED last? It's like, you probably are correct that it's PIED. However, what if it's something else? Erectile dysfunction can be a symptom of many different health issues. So even though you may be a porn addict, you may not have PIED. You may be having erectile issues because of something completely different. That's why you need to talk to a doctor. That's amazing advice. Which was amazing advice, Angel? I just want to make sure. Bye, sir. Let me sleep now. Go to bed, Osama. No one's keeping you up. But hey, hopefully you're not going to use it before you go to sleep. Hopefully this did. This guy doesn't get either, LOL. I don't know what you're talking about. I have high, wife has low. I have high, wife has low. Any advice? If having sex is the most important thing to you, if being in that marriage with the level of drive she has is not workable for you, you need to let her know that. And you need to find out if she's willing to talk to somebody about her desire. Because again, this could be an estrogen issue. This could be another chemical issue. Do we know, is there a scientific medical reason she has a low drive? There's got to be a reason she's got a low drive. Start with the science. Probably should have a blood panel done. Alexander, we don't talk about porn stars here. That's your one warning. And don't mock other people here, or you will be muted and you will be banned and you will never see this again. And if you're just here to be a troll, I promise you we will all have forgotten about you 30 seconds later. Use your desire for a girlfriend to drive your recovery. Oh, you've heard my find your must. One of the things I say is to get a partner. But maybe I need to make that more clear. Thank you for saying that, Angel. I appreciate you pointing out when I say decent things. What constitutes as an addiction? Well, addiction is generally defined as having a pull to a behavior or a substance that, despite understanding continued use and continued going down that road is going to lead to negative consequences, you feel like you can't stop. That is technically an addiction. So let's put it in terms of porn addiction. If you are curious, if you are an addict, go to the front page of my profile. Up in the pinned videos, one of them says the 11 symptoms of porn addiction. You can follow along and figure it out for yourself, because there isn't a certain number or a certain time. This isn't, you broke your arm. This is very individualized, person to person. So if you listen to that video, count along, and then you can figure out. Alexander says, well said. Cheers, mate. Sorry if I was a little strong. It's just I've been doing this for 2 hours now. Sesh chat. Hey, coach, do you think praying a lot helps with addiction? I think that it can. I mean, positive thinking can. I think that there's a type of praying that helps. I don't think that, when a lot of people pray, what I notice, and I'm not a holy person, I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a holy person. What I notice that a lot of holy people pray, what they're praying for is the suspension of the laws of science. Dear God, please take away my uncle's cancer. Dear God, please make me a millionaire. Dear God, if you do this, I'll never ask for anything else. We're asking God for miracles. We're asking God to bend the laws of science. And to me, that's a little bit egotistical, a little bit self-centered. But I think if you can use prayer as a time of reflection, if you can use prayer as a time to center yourself, as a time to relax, as a time to recognize you are part of a bigger universe, I think that praying can be wonderful. I think that it can be absolutely wonderful in helping you. But keep in mind, if you could pray cancer away, we would. If you could pray addiction away, we would. Prayer in and of itself will not work. It needs other things like scientific ways of dealing with things. But there's nothing wrong with having a strong spiritual, strong religious, strong core of prayer. What are all the pros of quitting? Sexual dysfunction, just all the social issues like trafficking, the fact that kids are watching it more than anything else and this is their sex ed, the fact that it wrecks marriages and relationships at a super high level. There are so many pros of quitting. Hello, Arn Odengini. I know I just killed your name. I'm sorry. I have a Nigerian friend who every time I see his name, I just say, hey, Mike. Hey, coach, do you really believe it is possible to get rid of it? I ain't sure. I did. And I went through recovery with several people who 11 years later are still clean. I have had 500 to 600 clients at this point in my life. And I have seen many of them who were committed to quitting, who were committed to recovery, completely recover. So it's not that I have to believe it. I have seen it. I have lived it. Yes, you can. You can get clean. Sesh Chat says, yeah, that's real. We can't pray and ask for God for selfish things. We hope he has plans that are good. Absolutely. And I wish that more good Christians recognize this. We ask for guidance. We ask to know what to do. It's kind of funny. When I was writing my first book, at that point in my life, I said that I was an atheist. Or actually, I made a joke. I said I was a non-practicing atheist because I just didn't care. And, I recognized when I was writing the book, I would say something like, I couldn't figure out what to do in this situation, and the universe came and told me. Or I had to give a speech in front of 200 people that I thought was going to be 15 minutes, and I learned it was going to be an hour right before. And I gave that speech without even blinking. In fact, I was able to dissociate from it, which means I'm giving a good speech. And I said, the universe came and filled those 45 minutes because I don't even know what I said. And as I kept writing, it was like the universe, the universe, the universe. And I came to the conclusion, you know what I have? I think I have an allergy to the word God. Because everything I'm describing here is believing that the universe is going to take care of me, is believing that a higher power is going to take care of me. I have faith. I don't tie it to a specific book. I don't tie it to a specific building. I don't tie it to any political cause. But I have a hell of a lot of faith. And I think that's led me through life very well. Just don't tell my parents dragging me to church might have done something. Brandon, HTX, tomorrow I make 10 days sober after 20 years. I pray to God, but I'm scared. Well, Brandon, are you talking to anybody about this? Do you have a therapist? Do you have a coach? Do you go to a 12-step group? How are you doing this other than saying, ugh? Because the one thing I can tell you as a guy who was successful in recovery and as a guy who has helped many people in their journey of recovery, you don't do it alone. You don't do it alone. 10 days sober is freaking awesome, Brennan. 20 years. I know what that's like, dude. 24 years as a porn addict, 22 years as an alcoholic. I know what that's like. And 10 days sober, a lot of people never get there. That's double digits, dude. That's awesome. But what happens when you get urges? What happens when you get triggers? What are you going to do? Why have you used for 20 years? What trauma led to you starting? Is it still there? Do you even know what it is? These are all very important questions to answer if you're going to recover. Quitting the behavior is one thing. And most people who quit the behavior, if they're addicts, they can't just quit the behavior. They have to do the deeper work if it's going to stick. I hope you are doing that, Brandon, but 10 days is fucking awesome, my friend. Good on you. Nick says, corn affects me socially and ruins my confidence. If you believe it does, it certainly does. So what are you doing to quit? What are you doing to recover? Who are you talking to about this? What steps are you taking to learn more about your addiction? To figure out why it got there? Because this is all part of changing the lifestyle. All right, I have been doing this too long, but I appreciate y'all being here. I love doing this. 8,000 likes, that's freaking awesome, especially for the nighttime. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you who are here. 11 years later, this is still part of my recovery. Talking about this stuff, sharing my information, helping people. It helps me just as much. So thank you for being here. If you're not following me, please do. If you haven't stopped by my Linktree and seen what's there, please do. I'll be back, hopefully tomorrow. Late morning my time, we'll see. Thank you for turning on live notifications highest. You can always DM me if you need to. And yeah, I'm not a tough guy to find. I hope to see you again soon.